Already a very, very happy Friday, and welcome to the TNC Sports Talk. My name is Justin, and today is May 22nd of 2026. We have made it through another week of the sports world. Um, and I wish I was able to start off this week or this episode finishing off on a high, positive, energetic moment. Memorial Day's coming in. But yesterday we learned about the passing of Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, the hard changing NASCAR star who rose to talent and temperament, made him one of the stock cars racing defining figures for more than 2 decades. As we learned that he passed away yesterday at the age of 41. It was announced by the Bush family and the Richard Childress Racing in a joint statement hours after the organization disclosed that Bush had been hospitalized because of several illnesses. Additionally, additional details was not immediately released. Bush was testing in the Chevrolet Racing Simulator in Concord, North Carolina on Wednesday when he became unresponsive and was transported to the Charlotte hospital. Uh, told Sources told the Associated Press on behalf, and then it was a statement that was made, and I quote, "On behalf of the Bush family, everyone at Richard Childress Racing, and all of NASCAR, we are devastated to announce the sudden and tragic passing of Kyle Busch." Statement was from NASCAR. Said read, "Our entire NASCAR family is heartbroken by the loss of Kyle Busch, a future Hall of Famer. Kyle was a rare talent, one who's coming along once in a generation. He was fierce. He was passionate. He was immensely skilled. He cared deeply about the sports and the fans. Bush was a two-time Cup Series champion and one of the winningest drivers in NASCAR history. Bush built a career that combined elite skill with a polarizing edge that made him impossible to ignore. Whether cheered by loyal supporters or jeered by rival fans, Bush remained one of the sport's biggest attractions from the moment he arrived as a teenage prospect. Bush collected 63 Cup Series victories, ranking ninth in NASCAR's all time wins list and second most in the playoff chase era, and won championships in 2015 and 2019. He started 762 career NASCAR Cup Series races across NASCAR's three National Tourist Series. He amasses 234 wins, the most by any driver in sports series. You know, um, to me, Kyle Busch was a household name when it came down to NASCAR. There's a lot of household names, but Kyle Busch stuck out tremendously. I can't even begin to try to refathom the legend. And there's two parts to this that I just can't grasp my head around. One is that we lost a legend in NASCAR. Uh, a legend that, like mentioned, a future Hall of Famer. A legend that has inspired current NASCAR drivers and children still to this day who looks forward to NASCAR races, to the truck series races. And Kyle Busch put helped put NASCAR on the map as a fan. I'm not necessarily a huge NASCAR fan, but I know NASCAR and enough about NASCAR because of guys like Kyle Busch and Johnson and Dale Earnhardt and just those figures. And so it kind of, just like a lot of other celebrities, become surreal when I stumbled upon this news and when the world was given this news that he passed away yesterday. It's like, man, gosh, what we grew up on, what we were inspired to watch NASCAR for, just to see and affiliate his name in the conversation, our their next race, he won't be there. And then there's a part of me that looks at the age of 41. I'm 31 years old. I have gone through journeys throughout my life, remembering moments where it's like, man, I can't believe I've lived this far. And I don't think anyone really sits down and ponders over those who die in their 20s, teens, infants, childs, or in their 40s, 50s. I think a lot of people respectfully expect, 70s, 80s is a typical lifespan of a human being. So not only to see a star pass away, but how young he passed away from, you learn from, it just resembles when we look at, um you have Jose Fernandez who died at the age of 24, guys like um Roberto Clemente who died at 38 in the sport. Well, let me see, there's this kid out in Los Angeles played back in July 1st of 2019, Tyler Skaggs, who died at a young age as well. And then we jump into areas like um, the WWE when we lose guys like Eddie Guerrero, who was still in his prime, or uh, and I'm gonna throw in Crispin Wall, for instance. Just people who have left an impact on that sport, life being taken away in the midst of their careers. So on this show, I am here to send my condolences to the friends, to the families, to fans that were a lot more connected to Kyle Busch than I was. And we just pray upon the future, and we hope that we pray that he may let rest in peace, and that his family is well supported as we grieve throughout this time of the passing. May Kyle Busch rest in peace. All right, on today's show, we are going to get you guys ready for the weekend. It is Memorial Weekend. I don't know what your plans are. I know out here we're expected to have some rain scattered throughout the weekend heading into next week. It may affect some festivities that goes on around town. I know out here our local pool is opening up this weekend, but it's an outdoor pool, so I don't know how much we're going to be able to get outside and be a part of it. Um, but it's typical for me. This is the transition from spring to summer because this is where you bring out the grill and make hamburgers and hot dogs and chicken, and make your potato salad and macaroni salad. Cut up that watermelon or cantaloupe, and also, grill some corn. The comfort food, the smell good food throughout the summertime that could sit while flies try to eat away, and you have that fresh sun tea just made out there that's been blazing in the sun, and the kids are off playing. So, um, yeah, it's gonna be a fun week, and I can tell you that. Well, whatever you guys are doing, all I ask is to be safe in your activities. But we will get you guys ready. The Reds are back in town for the weekend, but they'll quickly turn around and head out to New York beginning Monday on a three-game series. We'll get you ready for that. The NBA, NHL playoffs update, the Big 12 conference tournament update, as well as the weekend should conclude the winners. And then we'll get you guys ready for SmackDown tonight at the Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky, and our predictions for tomorrow night, Saturday night main event. Let's go ahead and kick things off, though, with some football conversations. I love these conversations when they associate with the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, the Cincinnati Bengals may have one of the easiest schedules in 2026. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm not trying to brag about it. And to be honest, the schedule could look easy, but it's really how the team unfolds heading into the season. Injuries, performances, and all of that takes in accountability. So it may look pleasing, and it may look like an easy 9-10 win season, but to execute, that's a different story. And I tell you, one thing I saw last year in the NFL, the game's not over until the fat lady sings. Okay. Well, the Detroit Tigers is one team on that list who has a propelling easy schedule. They're posted with the sixth worst winning percentage in 2025. Based this year's strength of schedule on last year's results, provides only mostly an accurate picture because it doesn't not account for the improvement of or regression that comes with the offseason. Look at the Lions' opponents this year: the Saints, the Jets, the Panthers, Cardinals, Vikings, Dolphins, Falcons, Titans, Vikings, and Giants. Among that list, Dolphins are ranked 31. This is the back half of the rankings. Most of those teams are ranked in the 20s. The Vikings are ranked 19th, and that's kind of the highest you goes through. So, you know, Detroit Lions, I still believe, is a really good team. I don't know what happened last year. And maybe a lot of that has to do with the surpass of the Chicago Bears finally playing good football. And my question is to the Bears, can they repeat themselves? Because that's always the biggest question from a top team is you had a good year. Congratulations. But now it's time to prove that you're here to stick around. Well, the Lions are one of those teams who are good enough to stick around, and even good teams from time to time have some of these moments where they have a bad year. Kansas City Chiefs had themselves a bad year last year. This year, the focus is it can we confirm that the next steps for that team is legitimate based off of last year's results? And if so, they have a similar performance that they did last year? Or was it a fluke that they had a bad year last season and they could come back and show and dominate in their division or in their league? So although the schedule looks very easy against with the Lions, a win with the Saints, Jets, Panthers, Cardinals, the Vikings should be easy. I mean, they're almost looking at a 10 plus win game, and any team who could win 10 games in a season should be able to easily walk into the playoffs, but Tom will tear. The Saints, on the other hand, may have a very easy schedule, but they also have something to prove and they got to execute as well. The Saints, who had a okay back half in 2025, look to pick it up in 2026. Tyler Stoll won 4 of his final 5 starts as a rookie and could command even a better offense in year 2 with the additions of Travis Itani, or if I can say that name correctly. A comfortable schedule will wide open the division, also working in their favor. Sharp may find himself quarterbacking in the playoffs this year. And I think a lot of projections last season is easily pointed to the Buccaneers winning the NFC South. The Panthers made a surprising run in the back end of the season and was able to take over the Buccaneers winning the division. The Saints were doing the same, but they were too far out, I'll tell you that. The Cincinnati Bengals here is listed as well with the third crushiest schedule by opponents in 2025. Seemingly improved defense and an offensive power with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Browns, and the squad should expect this year to get back to the Super Bowl hunt. Keeping Burrow healthy is going to be the biggest key thing for this team this season. Now, Joe Flacco is returning for the Bengals as a backup quarterback, but even with a Flacco, how many games are we going to take away? I don't want to take any chances this year. Along with the defense additions of Dexter Lawrence, Boye Mafe, Jonathan Allen, up front of Brian Cook in the safety position, the offense looks like a collective unit that can compare nicely with their defense. Only one opponent finished last year in the top 10 PFF's offensive rankings, and that was the Colts. And the average ranking of all 17 opponents was 20 points. Cincinnati influx of talent paired with a mediocre crop of opposing offense should help this unit improve last year's second worst finished in yards allowed. So yeah, we are looking towards the improvement of performance this year. That comes with a healthy Joe Burrow all throughout the season. We do sit back and ponder the what if Joe Burrow never got hurt in week 2. What would things look like? Would the defense been just as bad as they were last season all throughout the season? I knew that we all knew that we had some problems defensively heading into the year, and it didn't help with the complications of the Trey Hendrickson, option, but it really went down south fast, and it seemed like our offense could not keep up, especially without Joe Burrow. And even when Joe Burrow came back, there was just going to be some matchups we couldn't compare to. So with a healthy Joe Burrow this year, there is that importance of capitalizing and taking advantage of the games that we should easily be walking in and taking and winning. And with a healthy offense, we can easily keep up with almost any defense we have out there about 8 out of 10 times, fair to say. So I expect a lot better turnout But yet again, I contradict myself because the statement goes to show that doesn't matter who you have, doesn't matter how much you spend, you still have to perform. The Eagles, having become the first repeat NFC East champions in 2021 years, are the class of the division, being the clear best team in an otherwise unsurprising division over the last two seasons, gives the Eagles a simple formula for 2026, which I still believe the Eagles are right now, until you could prove me otherwise on the field, a better team than any other team in the NFC East, should walk away with the division. They're probably headed back to the playoffs this year. Schedule with will help them do that, even if AJ Brown departs at some point this summer via a trade. A couple weeks ago, we asked the idea of the Bengals adding DeAndre Hopkins. Well, would it show an interest to Bengals fans if we can include AJ Brown in a trade? And I don't know who you would have to trade for, but would that be something, if a conversation at least, to add AJ Brown to the mix of T. Higgins and Jamar Chase? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. If we take a step further, there's this distinct disparity in the Eagles' favor between homestands and road swings. They will never play more than two consecutive games away from home, while they also have stretches of 3 and 4 weeks without true road games. So here's the first one. You have week 4 with the Rams at home, week 5 with the Jaguars in London, but that is technically a home game. Week 6, the Panthers at home, and week 7, the Cowboys at home. Here's the second stance. The Colts in week 14, the Seahawks in the week 15, and the Texans in week 16 are all at home. So the Rams in that first stretch looks pretty challenging. Cowboys always pose a threat, and you're really unpredictable what goes on in London, especially against the Jaguars. So that first one may be a flop in the air, but all of them are considered home games. The Colts, Seahawks, and Texans, pending where teams lie at that point of the season, almost indicate a hopeful good win at the back end of stretch. And then the Baltimore Ravens. Checking in at the modest number 14 themselves, all but one of Ravens' first 7 opponents, the Cowboys, will sit below them in Prisco's power rankings. First-year coach Jesse Minter could not ask for a much smoother ramp into his new job. Additionally, none of those 7 games, at Colts versus Saints, at Cowboys versus Titans, at Falcons, at Browns, and versus Bengals, come against the teams that made the playoffs last year. A few project to be better in 2026, but none are bona fide Super Bowl contenders. And that's a pretty bold statement. If you look right now in the AFC, who are a bona fide Super Bowl contenders? Is Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos back at it? Up there, have, with a healthy Patrick Mahomes, are the Chiefs making that run again? If the Bengals aren't in that conversation, is it the Ravens? And how much more better are the Ravens? We'll find out in week 7, right? And I don't think of anyone in the South, and maybe the Patriots, maybe the Bills in the East. Furthermore, though, even though they reside on the one coast, the Ravens will not have to travel much this year. They ranked a modest 21st in miles traveled, and the Brazil game does have a heavy lifting there. Even more telling is the fact that they will play just 2 games outside the Eastern time zone all year long. Neither comes with more than 1 hour time differences. So you think about that. Who has the easiest schedule heading into the 2026 NFL season? I feel like the Bengals have a lot to prove based off of what we saw last year. I know a lot of that had to do with their defense, and we addressed a lot of those concerns. But to be fair for you here, right? We could add whoever we want in our conversations. We could add anyone we want, but until they are on the field and they're producing in a Bengals uniform, we can only take what it is on paper. And on it as paper, yeah, we should be a team that wins two, three more games than we won last year. Is that good enough to dethrone the Ravens or dethrone the Steelers and dethrone the Browns? Now, what's interesting, and I take away from this particular segment, is the Ravens having a friendly schedule does help them dial in and focus in on a good schedule. So if the Bengals are looking to win a division, they really have to tune in and focus in on themselves. We cannot sit here and worry about whether or not the Ravens are going to lose. Now, it's going to be fun if they when they do lose, we're going to highlight it. But it's important that we remain humble and we remain focused on the games that we can win. Because right now, I almost say that the Buccaneers and Bengals on opening day is as even as you're gonna get it. It's a coin flip. It could go either way, and I think you nailed not to choose. You nailed to choose the Bengals, not because we're in here in Cincinnati, not because it's a biased opinion. It's because their home field advantage. And so when it's as equal as the Buccaneers and as the Bengals are, you kind of just flip the coin and hope for the best. So who has the easiest schedule in the NFL this season? Is it the Ravens? How close are the Bengals to that? And let me know your opinions in the comments below. All right, we are getting ready for some weekend baseball here at Great American Ballpark. The weather doesn't look also great, but I'm sure the Reds are going to get a 3-game series in, whether you like it or not, against the St. Louis Cardinals. In hopes for so, because momentum at the moment looks like it's turning back into our favor. Do not have an update status of Gino Suarez. I know he spent some time with the Louisville Bats, AAA affiliates, but we hope to expect him back at Great American Ballpark in a Reds uniform and in that lineup here in the possible very soon future, even as soon as today. But we await the St. Louis Cardinals, who come in after losing 2 out of 3 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Cardinals are 28-21. They're third place in the NL Central. They are 5-5 over the last 10 games, including a 2-game losing streak, and they are 15-8 on the road. And the Reds, on the other hand, they split their last road trip. They're headed back to Great American Ballpark, 26-26, tied with the Pirates, but last place in the division. They're 5-5 over the last 10. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They just got off of a series win against the Phillies, and they are 13-11 on at home. So the picture is being presented very nicely. If you are a division fan and you want a clear rivalry, this is right there, that team. And I'm actually very excited that we are getting our look with the St. Louis Cardinals. The St. Louis Cardinals is this young team They have really emptied out a lot of their contracts. They are calling up and using the farm system, using the prospect base. They are changing their strategy, and it's working. They're above 500. They're in third place, and there's something that I really, I for one did not think that we were going to see a whole lot out of the Cardinals early on, but they're maintaining themselves quite well, if I may say. And they've been a fun team to watch, even when they are not playing the division. Like they surprise me. Over the last four series, the Cardinals have split two apiece. They won the series against the Royals last weekend. They won the series against the Athletics the series prior, and then they dropped the series, but they haven't gotten swept in, I'm going to say, at least in nearly a month. I haven't looked beyond that. Uh, Similar to what the Reds have done over the last four series itself. But here's where, see, the Cardinals have their own dilemma. Here's our dilemma, right? We know what we need to do in order to get back up. We need to be consistent. Take stuff off the plates of our bullpen, and our offense needs to perform. We're trying to figure that out, and it has not been a pretty sight to see here lately. And it's just so ironically, I was actually responding to somebody that made a post on our TikTok videos this morning, and it talked about, and I responded, I was like thinking about this myself. Look at the comparison of when Gino Suarez was on the roster in the lineup in the month of May. He gets hurt at the end of April, and then he ends up, and then that's kind of when things start going south for the ball club. Suarez is on the IL, and we get into this, you know, 7-game slump, 8-game slump between the Cubs, the Pirates, and, things haven't been, we've been trying to basically stay alive above 500, right? And so I'm really eager to see Suarez come back to the lineup and see what he can produce for this organization, and see if the organization can lift themselves up back again from what they were doing in April. And that's going to be the question that I'm looking forward to answering. I don't want to jump the gun. I don't want to toot my own horn. But if we could see that, then respectfully, I think it would be an argumentative case that Suarez is very impactful. I know earlier this week on our program, I've asked the question, how impactful is Gino to the Cincinnati Reds? Well, if the Reds were winning with him in the lineup and now they're losing with him not in the lineup, and we see all the struggles without him in that lineup, well, there must be a key reason to have him in that lineup. And the only way to test that theory is that he should be coming back today, if not this weekend, or against New York, or the latest next week, depending on how he's feeling. And if things turn around and we start winning again and things start, looking positive for this Reds team, then great, right? I mean, then it kind of proves the point that Gino is impactful. He's a team leader. He's a captain to this organization, and he guides this organization to victories. Love to see Caleb Ferguson back up there at the major league level. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Talk about Gino playing an impact to the Reds' success, right? And it's also kind of hard. Okay, the Reds are 26-24. We're pointing out all the negativities, and yet they are 2 games above 500. And I think this what baffles me the most. And I kind of want to let me point this out. Let me bring this up a little bit before we get into our matchups. Because if you look at the standings around us in the American League National League, a 26-24 finds yourself in third place, just behind the Rays and Yankees in the AL East. A 26-24 will find yourself in second place behind the Guardians in the Central. And a 26-24 will tie you for first place in the West. A 26-24 will find yourselves in second place in the NL East. A 26 and 24 will find yourself in third place in the West. So a 24-26 record will find you in the middle, if not at the top end of every other division in Major League Baseball today, May 22nd. Yet the Reds are in last place, 4.5 games back. If they were 26-24 in the NL West behind the Dodgers, it'd be about 4.5 games back. They would be about 10 games back with the Braves. They would be tied for first place for the West. They would be about 4 games back of the Guardians and about five, about what, about 7 or 8 games back in the AL East. I still think a 26-24 record, no matter how you put it together, at this point of the season, concluding that the rest of the division has a winning record, is still very good for not only the division but for the Cincinnati Reds. And we're trying to pinpoint that one team who is going to drop first, if any a team is going to drop first, and I failed to see that. All right, so the 3-game series begins tonight. First pitch is at 6:40. Reds TV, you could watch it or listen to it on WOW 700. The Cardinals 28-21, third in the NL Central, will send out right-handed pitcher Kyle Leahy. Kyle Leahy is 5-3 with a 3.94 ERA. He last pitched last Saturday against the Royals at home, where he went 6 innings, giving up 5 hits on 1 earned run, allowing 3 walks and 2 strikeouts. The Reds 26-24, fifth in the NL Central, will be sending out right-handed pitcher Chris Paddock. He made his Reds debut last Saturday against the Guardians, where he went 5 innings, giving up 6 hits, 2 earned runs, allowed 1 walk and 3 strikeouts. He's currently 0-5 this season with a 7.07 ERA between his time here with the Reds and his time with the Miami Marlins. Tonight is post-game fireworks at Great American Ballpark. If you haven't got tickets yet, you could check out Reds.com for more information. Tomorrow, their first pitch is at 7 p.m., and it will be displayed on Fox, one of the primetime games. You could also listen to the game on WOW. They'll be giving away the Key Brian Hayes bobblehead giveaway for fans in attendance. The Cardinals will send out Andre Palante, who is 4-4 with a 4.04 ERA this season. Last pitch last Sunday against the Royals, where he went 6 2/3 of an inning, giving up 8 hits on 1 run, no walks, and 7 strikeouts. The Reds will have Brady Singer on the mound, who's 2-4 with a 6.26 ERA. He last pitched on Sunday in Cleveland against the Guardians, where he went 4 innings, giving up 7 hits, 5 runs, allowing 1 walk and 6 strikeouts. This 3-game series concludes on Sunday, first pitch at 1:40. You can watch the game on Reds TV or listen to it on WOW as they celebrate Veterans and Military Appreciation Day for those in attendance. The Cardinals will have Matthew Liberatore, who's 2 for 2 and 2.70 ERA this season. He last pitched back on Tuesday at home against the Pirates, where he went 4 and 2/3 of an inning, giving up 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts. The Reds will send out left-handed pitcher Nick Lodolo on the mound, who's 0 for 1 with a 7.20 ERA. Last pitched on Monday on the road against Philadelphia, where he went 5 and 2/3 of an inning, giving up 3 hits, 3 runs, 5 walks, and 3 strikeouts. So, what am I looking into for this series? Well, I think that is very simple. I'm looking for consistency. I'm looking for a consistent outing. We've talked about this. It's been notorious 5, 6 innings, solid innings from these pitchers, only allowing between 3 to 4 runs, which is given. I'm thinking also the Reds need to maybe look at what the Cardinals are doing and maybe try to take something away. Maybe a little bit more plate discipline there, drawing walks, getting simple base hits. We've seen Milwaukee have success, find themselves back at the top of the division without hitting the long balls. Let's worry about getting runners scored in scoring positions. And I think we would have a fun, interesting weekend. Now, like I said, 2 game losing streak for the Cardinals, 2 game winning streak for the Reds. I think this is a very good, fun series to be a part of, to watch, to partake. If you have nothing planned, please bring those umbrellas, those ponchos, and check out the Reds at Great American Ballpark this weekend. On Memorial Monday, May 25th, coming up, they will begin a 3 game series out there in New York before heading back home next weekend. We'll cover more details on Tuesday. All right, let's take a look at what's going down in the NL Central. Yesterday, the Cardinals were a part of that losing game where the Pirates won 6-2 was the final score. Today, the Pirates are on the road up north in Canada to take on the Blue Jays, who ended play with a 23-27 record. Today, they begin their game tonight at 7:07 p.m. On Saturday, the Pirates and Blue Jays will first pitch is at 3:07, and on Sunday they'll wrap up that 3 game series at 12:13. The Dodgers are over in Milwaukee to take on the Brewers. First pitch tonight at 7:40. The Dodgers are 31-19, while the Brewers are 21-18, or 29-18. Excuse me, and it's not 31-17. Excuse me, got that wrong. Saturday's first pitch is also at 7:15, followed by the 3 game series conclusion at 2:10 on Sunday. The Cubs and Astros begin a 3 game series. The Astros are 20-31. The Cubs are 29-21. And all 3 games this weekend, first pitch at 2:20. That is your NL Central Showdown. Big 12 Conference continues. Unfortunately, I just had it too. What happened to it? I lost it. Big 12 Conference tournament continues today. The Cincinnati Bearcats lost 10-2 against Arizona State last night. Arizona State will go on to advance to tonight's game, available on ESPN. Will they take ESPN Plus? Will they take on West Virginia, who beat Kansas State 4-2 was the final score to that game yesterday. Kansas beat Baylor 8-7, while Oklahoma State beat UCF 12-6. Oklahoma State will take on Kansas at 4:30 p.m. Central Time, while Arizona State and West Virginia will take on. One second. West Virginia takes on Arizona State. That will be tonight, and then it concludes tomorrow on ESPN2. The Big 12 Conference. It's kind of one of those things that kind of sucks, right? Because the Bearcats have played really good. They played above average against their division. Earned themselves a couple of days off, and then they really just get hammered when it comes to their first round. And so it wasn't really even a competition, to be honest. All right, what's going on in the NBA? The NBA playoffs continues. Last night we saw the New York Knicks beat the Cleveland Cavaliers 109 to 93. Sorry. The Knicks will go out to an early 2-0 lead in this series. Tonight at 8:30 on NBC, the Thunders take on the Spurs. The series tied at 1. Tomorrow at 8 p.m., the Knicks and Cavaliers in game 3. Game will begin at 8 p.m. The Knicks have a 2-0 lead. It'll be available on ABC. And then on Sunday on NBC at 8 p.m. tip-off, Thunders and Spurs in game 3 action. In the NHL, the Canadians beat the Hurricanes 6-2. Canadians got out to an early start in last night's game, never looked back. Tonight on ESPN, puck drops at 8 p.m. The Golden Knights take on the Colorado Avalanche. The Knights have a 1-0 lead in their series. Tomorrow at 7 o'clock, the puck drops on TNT between the Canadians and the Hurricanes in Game 2 action. And in game 3, the Avalanche will be in Las Vegas to take on the Golden Knights on ESPN. Picked up on Sunday. Puck drops at 8 p.m. For more information on your NBA and NHL playoffs, check out CBSSports.com. All right, what's going on SmackDown this evening? We are on the road to Clash in Italy, which will take place next Sunday. And SmackDown is looking to continue to build heading into that. It will be taking place tonight at 8 p.m. on the USA Network at the Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky. And there's only one match that has been officially confirmed for tonight's episode. Shinsuke Nakamura will take on Tala Tunga in a singles competition. Now, it seems maybe like an unfair match. Size matters moment. It's MTF, so you know there's going to be outside interference. But is there a speculation that we could possibly see that Tala finally come to his senses, take advice from Shinsuke, and turn on MTF? That is something that we are looking to pay attention to specifically in this match. Other things that we could also look forward to on SmackDown that we could take away as developing stories continue. MFT possibly looks to retaliate against Royce Key. Remember last week, Royce Key was in the number one contenders match against Gunther, and Solo Sikoa tried to help Royce Key. Slid in a steel chair when the referee wasn't looking, but Royce Key basically indicated, look, I don't want an outside interference. I don't want to win by the way of a steel cage or chair. I want to win the way I want to win. And third, right back at Solo Sikoa. And it's been an ongoing thing with Solo's been trying to recruit Royce Key for the past several weeks. And if last week was not a clear indication that Royce Key does not want to be a part of Solo Sikoa's faction, then what is next? How will Solo Sikoa respond to it? Because it's one of those ideas that I figure if you're not with them, you're against them. So will there be any retaliation towards it? Also, look for ahead. Interesting. The WWE Tag Team Champions R-Truth and Damian Priest. They kind of been scattered all over the place in recent weeks. So Damian Priest had that single match a couple of weeks ago. R-Truth and Damian's been successful as a tag team with the tag team titles. Will they, if MFTs retaliate against Royce Keys, will R-Truth and Damian Priest be there? I still think that Damian Priest is kind of beginning soft and can't win single matches on his own since teaming up with R-Truth, but that's me. Carmelo Hayes is in full force trying to return back to glorified as he looks to obtain that United States champion again for Trick Williams. But how would that storyline look? Who will take the heel spot? Fatal Influence was kind of making some headways right earlier since WrestleMania. After getting called up, they were targeting Bliss and Flair and Rhea Ripley, and they had something going, right? They're making their mark on the WWE. Well, that got all come to a halt when Jade Cargill returned and attacked Rhea Ripley. Now, Jade Cargill was the last women's champion, wants her rematch, identified at Clash in Italy, and so be it. But that has halted any forward progress with Fatal Influence. So, what I'm looking forward to tonight is to see how Fatal Influence looks to maintain a dominant run on the SmackDown roster. Also, newcomer Ricky Saints. When will he win his first match in the WWE? And that's not other than a jabroni of Matt Cardone, right? Um, Looking into that, Julia and Kiana James has been getting into it the last couple of weeks. Have we finally seen the the breaking point between them two? And obviously, Danhausen is up to no good. Who is this? What is this figure that Danhausen has in surprise? When will it be revealed? And will tonight be the debut of Blake Monroe? The big thing coming out of SmackDown, okay, which I don't think when you really deep into it, it's correct. Gunther calls Cody Rhodes the golden boy of the WWE. He gets everything he wants, he gets the center of attention, and he makes everything about him. Well, he's not lying when he says that. Gunther was a spotlight of moving over to the blue brand last week was interrupted by Cody Rhodes, and he wanted that spot. And it kind of feels like this match at Clash in Italy becomes more of a heroic American versus evil foreigner. And I don't know, we'll have to talk at length exclusively of how you feel about that particularly. But all I know is that Gunther is not wrong. And if he's not wrong, the WWE has to realize it. And therefore, there's some changes that have to be made. Not to credit or devalue Cody Rhodes. He's a great performer. He belongs at the top. But I tell you that he is the little goody tissues when it comes down to the WWE. So let me know what you guys are thinking for tonight in the WWE. Starts at 8 p.m. on the USA Network. This Saturday night, we will see Saturday night main event at the Allen County Memorial Coliseum in Fort Wayne, Indiana. This is actually kind of interesting because I haven't seen the WWE do a lot of promotions about it. I understand that it's not your typical PLE. This is kind of a once a season type situation that we look into. I actually like Saturday night main event. There's not many match cards on the dock. On top of that, they get a chance to focus and highlight talent that aren't on the PLE timetables, right? So we see here Ethan Page taking on Penta for the Intercontinental Championship. We see the World Tag Team titles of Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford taking on Austin Theory and Logan Paul. We see the Women's Tag Team Championships, Lash Legend and Nia Jax taking on Brie Bella and Paige. And then we see a 6-woman tag team match between Bliss, Flair, and Ripley versus Cargill, Machine, and BFAT. 4 matches, very simple, and I think they highlight the night. All right. Something that I think if Saturday night main event is to be brought up and continued, then this is the way that you do it. The only contrary note to this is that you have AAA that is having their event. I think you also have Double or Nothing tomorrow night as well. So, what type of viewership are you going to watch or prefer to watch? And I think general wrestling fans, if you have access to watch Double or Nothing, you're going to watch that. But then I'm going to watch this on Peacock and then AAA. But if I don't have Peacock, I'm watching AAA on YouTube. Anyways, let's give you our predictions heading into tomorrow night. The 6-woman tag team match, I do truly feel that, Flair, Bliss, and Ripley are a much bigger, more powerful team. But if this sets up to a rematch between Ripley and Cargill at Clash in Italy, it almost presents to me that maybe BFAB gets the upper leverage along with Machine and Cargill. So I'm going to take that bold prediction and say that Team Cargill will win the 6-woman tag match. The women's tag team championships. I'm enjoying the run as far as I can. On table, with no disrespect intended, you see Brie Bella and Paige that almost seems like they don't really belong here. And just by what we look, they've been pulling out the unstoppable. Can they, in a solo match without any outside interference or whatever, stop Lash Legend and Nia Jax? Two females that should be indestructible. They have the belt, they have the broad, they should easily dominate. So I'm not trying to go put the timetable together for Brie and Paige and when this is all going to end. Let them ride it until they ride it. But they have a really difficult challenge. And if you're going to pull out all the stops, tomorrow would be the day to do it. I can see Brie Bella and Paige retaining the tag team titles. We have the World Tag Team Championships, which I'm glad that we get to see this tag team defense. We haven't seen them defend the title since winning it against the Usos before WrestleMania. Angelo Dawkins, Montez Ford's back at it. I'm on the Vision side here. So I'm not trying to say I'm rooting for the Vision, but I'm rooting for the uplifting, the dominant surgence coming from the Vision, which means that the titles have to remain on the Vision side. I see them retaining the tag team titles and walking away victorious. Now, whether or not that involves Seth Rollins at ringside and Braun Breaker having an accountament, I don't know. I'm assuming something like that will probably take place and happen. Last but not least, the Intercontinental Championship between Ethan Page and Penta. I still have Penta successfully defending. Whoa. I had a big static. I would have Ethan Page and I would have Penta successfully detaining the title. I think it's a good element to see what Ethan Page is all about. I'm not saying I think he would look great with the IC title around his waist. I just don't know if he's the one. There's been a lot of people out there that looks like they're the one that could beat Penta for the title, but there's a reason why they kept it on him. So, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm going with Penta on that. What are your predictions for Saturday Night Main Event tomorrow night? Let me know down in the comments. Well, we do have Memorial Day coming up this Monday, which means we will not be here from 12 to 1 to cover you all the sports. We will try to be as active as we can on Facebook. I know we have some doubleheader action on MLB The Show franchise mode as we have gotten caught up. I'm in the middle of the current game, which is tonight, trying to get ahead of all of that. So I appreciate your guys' patience. Only have 4 games for the weekend, which is the Reds and Cardinals series, followed by the Sunday Night Baseball with the Rangers and Angels, and then I would have a doubleheader game on Monday for you. I could guarantee you that, but more to come. We will return on Tuesday, May 26th at noon to return. We'll talk about what's going on Smackdown, Raw, getting you guys ready for Clash of Italy, recapping WWE, and any more conversation that looks to hit the news wave. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Please hit that like, shares, and subscribe. Have those notifications on so you don't miss a single episode. Your response is valid, it's important to me. Please follow us on our Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram page, and you could also download us. Take us on the road with you wherever you go as by listening to the TNC Sports Talk on your audio podcasting platform. Well, that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for tuning into the TNC Sports Talk. My name is Justin. Until Tuesday, you guys have a wonderful week and happy Memorial Day, and we'll see you later on. Take care.